What if I told you that Zeus, Odin, and Thor and the gods of ancient myths weren't fairy tales at all, but real beings the Bible in fact warns us about? That the oldest myths preserve memories of giants before the flood, and that after Babel these same powers return to rule nations like Greece, Egypt, and Babylon. Stick with me here, because this will change how you see history and most likely blow your mind. Genesis 6 tells us that the sons of God came down and took human wives, then produced the Nephilim. These were giants, the hybrids of heaven and earth, who filled the world with violence. They were called mighty men of renown, and nearly every ancient culture remembered them. The book of Enoch tells how they taught man the secret arts and pretty much just all bad stuff in general. But the Greeks told stories of the Titans, divine giants destroyed in a flood. The Mesopotamians spoke of the Anunnaki, rulers who came down from the heavens. Plato described Atlantis, a kingdom ruled by godlike kings that vanished in a cataclysm. These weren't just stories, y'all. They were distorted memories of the pre-flood world that the Bible describes. But Genesis 6:4 adds a line most people overlook. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. In other words, it wasn't just before the flood. They did it after the flood as well. Members of the divine council from Psalm 82, who God gave the nations to, once again crossed the line, took human wives, and produced giants. That's why the Nephilim appear again in the post-flood world. Israel ran into them in Canaan, the Anakim and the Rephaim. King Og of Bashan himself had a bed nearly 14 feet long and 6 feet wide. And of course, Goliath and his brothers towered over Israel's army. Other cultures remembered them too. The Greeks had their Cyclops, the Norse had their frost giants, and the Irish their Fomorians. Genesis 6 is pretty clear. The same corruption that happened before the flood happened again after Babel. Then came the Tower of Babel. Humanity united in rebellion against God, trying to build a name for themselves, but a tower that reached the heavens. God came down, confused their languages, and scattered them. But Deuteronomy 32:8-9 in the oldest manuscripts reveals another piece. God divided the nations according to the number of his sons, not the sons of Israel. That means every nation was allotted under the authority of a divine being from his heavenly council. Yahweh kept Israel for himself, but the other nations were handed over to lesser rulers. This is why right after Babel, the world suddenly explodes with pantheons. Zeus in Greece, Ra and Osiris in Egypt, Baal in Canaan, Marduk in Babylon, and Odin in the north. These weren't just random inventions. They were the fallen sons of God who took worship for themselves, setting up nations under their control. And right in the middle of this moment is Nimrod. Genesis 10 says Nimrod began to be a mighty one on the earth, and this implies some satanic ritual of some kind, or dark empowerment. Be sure to check out our video that we did on how Nimrod became mighty. He wasn't born that way, but he became that way. Ancient Jewish traditions describe him as a vice-regent also. This means that one ruled under the shadow of someone greater than himself. So the Son of God that ruled above him was physically here. Targum writings even say Nimrod was the same king, Amraphel, who tried to throw Abraham into a furnace. In other words, Nimrod wasn't the ultimate authority. A being even more powerful stood here physically with him. Psalm 82 pulls the curtain back on this. You are gods, sons of the Most High, but you will all die like men, like any prince. God judges these beings for ruling unjustly, for demanding worship, for corrupting nations. They were real and are real. They ruled. They demanded temples and sacrifices, but their judgment was sealed. Cultures preserved their stories. Homer wrote of Zeus and Olympus. The Babylonians recorded Marduk's rise. The Egyptians praised Ra as Lord of the Sun. The Norse sang of Odin in Valhalla. Different names, same rebellion. Paul makes this crystal clear in 1 Corinthians 10:20. What pagans sacrifice, they offer to demons and not to God. Zeus wasn't imaginary, and Odin wasn't imaginary, nor were any of the other ones. They were demons in disguise, fallen sons of God hijacking the nations at Babel and producing giants in the earth both before and after the flood. So when you hear about Zeus throwing thunderbolts, or Odin ruling Valhalla, or Ra commanding the sun, you're not reading fairy tales. You're reading corrupted memories of real events, the Nephilim of Genesis 6, and the return of the giants after Babel in Deuteronomy 32. The rise of pantheons as nations bowed to fallen rulers, and men like Nimrod acting as vice-regents for powers greater than him. If this opened your eyes, please don't just scroll away. Be sure to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Be sure to drop your thoughts in the comments. I try to read them all. And it helps this message spread before it's buried, because this is going to have a lot to do with the big deception that's coming soon. God bless y'all and your families. God bless this world and these United States. Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. Maranatha.